So a big welcome to you all. So what we'll cover is the first main part of the webinar, what to do to get off the nails you're sitting on, and how to turn procrastination into motivation and positive action. And interrelated with that will be the secret do's and don'ts for developing your successful growth plan, and 3 key strategies on how to successfully execute your strategy for 2017. I'm not sure if you all listened to the dog on the nail story in the video that I sent out, but I'll just share it with you once more. You'll recall this guy used to go to work every day, and he'd walk up the street, and as he walked up the street to catch the bus, all the dogs would come out and bark, woof, 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 as dogs do, of course. And but there was one dog on the porch there, and he just sat on the porch and he whimpered and he whined and he didn't move at all. Next day, the guy walks up the street and all the dogs come out and bark as he walks up to catch the bus. Woof, woof, woof. And this dog still stayed there whimpering and moaning, and he didn't move. Well, this went on for a week, and at the end of the week, the guy thought, wow, this is funny. I better just find out what's going on here. So he goes to knocks on the door, and the bloke comes out and says, yes, can I help you? And he says, excuse me, sir, is this your dog? And he said, yes, that's my dog. Why do you ask? Well, he's sitting on this porch here, and I've been up all week, and all the dogs come out the bark, but your dog's just sitting there whimpering and whining. And he said, I don't understand. He said, oh, that's simple. He said, well, what is it? Well, he's sitting on a nail. What? Incredulous. The man said, what, sitting on a nail? He said, well, why doesn't he get off? Well, the bloke said, just doesn't hurt him enough. Well, there's a few little morals in that story, I know, and I'm sure, like me, you know, you're sitting on some nails. Maybe it's a careers nail, a financial nail, some business nails, dream nails, health nails. You know, you want to lose some weight, or you want to go on a healthy diet. You might have some things you really want to do in your business, like me. You know, I've wanted to do a webinar for years, and here I am, first time ever. So I've been sitting on that nail, and I finally got off it. So that's a big plus. There might be some habit nails, or it could be, you know, I'm too busy nails, and we're always too busy, always flat out doing something else to avoid the things that we really should be doing. There might be a relationship nail that you're sitting on right now, or spirituality nails, all sorts of things. Well, you know, you might just want to put in the chat box down there any nails you might be sitting on right now, and I'm sure you agree that we've all got some nails we're sitting on from time to time. And you know, just take a moment to think about that, ladies and gentlemen. You know, how big are these nails, and how often do you notice them? And what impact are they having on you and on others? And why do you think it's so hard to get off these nails? Well, maybe it's like the dog. Maybe it's, you know, because it doesn't hurt enough to do what it will take to get off the nails. And we know that when the fear of change is less than the fear of remaining the same, then we can change. One of the biggest things that you would know, we all know, and we've known it forever, is that fear is the biggest thing that holds us back. Now, the old acronym for fear is false expectations appearing real. Well, that's really helpful, and that's true, and because a lot of the things are geared around the false self. But I want to offer you tonight another acronym for fear, and that is fusion with unhelpful thoughts. I think this is one of the big things. I'm going to outline and explain these in a bit more detail. The E stands for expectations that are unrealistic. The A is avoidance of uncomfortable feelings. We're brought up, you know, not to have our feelings hurt, and we try and at all expense to avoid them. And the R is remoteness from your purpose and values. Now, let's look at this fusion with unhelpful thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. See, there's like this little monkey on our back and on our shoulder. You know, it's the I'm not good enough story, and, you know, I'm going to fail anyway, and there's no point to trying, and I'm just too busy and I can't do it. And how will I live if it doesn't work? And what will happen if I try this webinar and no one turns up? And I'm not good enough, and no one in my family has ever been successful. And who do I think I am? And some of us might say, well, look, it's just not me. I just don't like doing that sort of thing. And other people will say, well, what will people think of me if I fail or if I succeed? Any of these ring a bell to you? E, the expectations that are unrealistic and conflict with our values. Unrealistic expectations and goal often result in the major roadblocks. You know, if the things that we want to do are so far out there. We know this. We've talked about SMART goals and having to have realistic expectations. So that's a big one that's always around and that's holding us back, and it's part of the whole fear. We often have too many goals and we feel overwhelmed and anxious and confused. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, less is more when it comes to goal setting, and 3 to 5 is probably, ideal. We try to live up to others, people's expectations, and we march to the drum beat of other drummers instead of listening to the music within ourselves. And we also have unrealistic time frames, and we often have goals which are mostly unsustainable. I mean, you would know so many people, and perhaps even yourself, you set yourself some things and goals, and you've got some dreams that you have, but they're not sustainable. Some of us are perfectionists. I know some of you listening tonight, I know a little bit about you, and everything's got to be absolutely imperfect. All of our ducks are going to be lined up in a row, and we're not going to move forward until we have perfection. And we know that perfection is probably one of the biggest things that hold a lot of people back. And as one person said one day, show me a perfectionist, and I'll show you someone who hasn't succeeded. So, we'll talk more about that later, but I don't know if some of you feel like that. But I know that, I won't put that blog out because it's not perfect yet, or I can't do this because I haven't got it really just right. So the expectation that I'll be happy when, or I can't be happy until, this is a really false expectation. I'm going to explore that a little more with you in a moment. And often we're trying to make up for a shortcoming or a failure in our business or our career or in our personal life. And if that's the case, we're starting from a deficit position. Now, the A in the fear stands for avoidance of uncomfortable feelings. With unhelpful thoughts and uncomfortable thoughts come unpleasant feelings, which fuel our procrastination and prevent us from stepping outside of our comfort zone. And we feel inadequate and we feel embarrassed. Yeah, I know. We feel anxious and uncertain. It's easier to avoid problems than to confront them or deal with them. And the more you try, and the more I try to avoid unpleasant feelings, the harder it will be to make important changes in our life and in our business. And if we fuse with our unhelpful thoughts and try to avoid the uncomfortable feelings that come with these, our Goliath will get bigger and nastier until we truly believe we will fail. Now, you all know the story of David and Goliath, and David didn't sort of lie on his stomach whimpering and whining about this object of fear. This Goliath, David stood up and he ran straight to the object of fear and faced it head on. Now, the R in fear stands for remoteness from your purpose or your values. We're held back by the lack of connection with our purpose and values. And if we want to move forward, if we want to have some goals and are not in alignment with our values and our purpose, we really find it hard, because our gut tells us that if the change or the goal we're seeking or making is not in alignment with these, there's something wrong. And so if there is remoteness, lack of alignment and connection with our purpose and values, we get sidetracked and we lose heart and we give up and we start procrastinating because we've lost the conviction that the goal is worth the effort. So there's just a summary: fear, fusion with unhelpful thoughts, expectations that are unrealistic, avoidance of those uncomfortable feelings, and remoteness from your purpose and values. Now, the solution to fear is to dare. Be like David. First of all, you've got to diffuse those unhelpful thoughts. And you might say, Edward, how do I do those? Well, we're going to talk more about the mind and the process there. The biggest thing there is certainly we have to detach from them and not fuse them, because the more we fuse to our unhelpful thinking patterns, we become them. And there's the old saying, as a person thinketh in their heart, so they become. We have to accept the discomfort that comes from these feelings and set realistic goals and embrace your purpose and values. Let's explore these. First of all, dare to win. We've got to diffuse the unhelpful thoughts. Remember, thoughts are just thoughts. They have no meaning other than what you give to them. You know, we have a thinking mind, and thinking minds have about 8,000 thoughts a day, and they come and they go. And, you know, we give them meaning, no one else does. So we've got to learn to observe them, watch them, and not buy into them. And I have a diagram coming up to explain this a bit more for you. So, guys, this is the big thing. We have the power to self-observe. We can watch. So when we don't diffuse to those, we let them come and let them go and return our attention to helpful and positive thinking. You might say, Edward, how do we do that? Well, I'll explain that in a minute. The second part of dare to win is accept the discomfort that comes from these feelings. Negative feelings are a natural part of life, and we have to observe and just accept them. You know, right from a young age, when we're kids, you know, we're brought up to not hurt people's feelings. And don't say that, and don't do this because you'll hurt their feelings. So we are absolutely, totally conditioned from a really, really young age to protect our feelings. So quite often we stay on these nails because we get off, we might get hurt. Don't try to push them away. Get in touch with them and understand that the feeling is in you and no one else. The same stimulus could actually create a whole different feeling in someone else. So you can't push the feelings away. Get in touch with them. Understand that they're with you and no one else, and watch and observe what's going on. And like the wind and the rain, they will come and go and pass. Now, in the Dare to Win, the R stands for setting realistic goals. We know about this ones. And, you know, I always say, let's always set goals for growth, not goals for glory. We know what happens to the Olympians. They'll set goals for glory and they'll get out there and they'll, you know, really, really nail it and go for it. But their life falls apart quite often after that. So what we're trying to do in 2017 is to set our career goals, our business goals, our personal goals for growth, so we can be better people and we can add more value to the people in our circle of influence. We want to have actionable goals with milestones and able to put them into a system, because if we can't do that, we're not going to actually fulfill them. And don't forget, they have to be your goals and not living up to other people's expectations. Your goals, everybody, my goals, and not somebody else's. Now, just as a bit of a summary there, we had the realistic goals, goals for growth, goals for glory, and they have to be your goals. Now, the E in the Dare to Win is to embrace your purpose and vision and values. Goals that align with your purpose and with your vision and your values and the wider context of what you want your life to be about are absolutely essential. If in fact your goals aren't aligning with those, I can't see how you're ever going to get off the nail. So that's another really, really big thing that you've got to watch there. And the other solution is to seem to have missed something. We've got to have these realistic goals. Well, I've mentioned that before, and these have to be absolutely in place, and they have to be something that really, really achievable, and quite often we have unrealistic ones, and I've talked about embracing your purpose and values. So there's the 4 things that summarize the Dare to actually win. Now, this diagram here, I want you to have a bit of a look at, and it goes back to this one of, you know, one of the major reasons for not getting off the nail or being stuck in the procrastination cycle. You know, we have 2 minds, and we have up the top there, you see the observing mind. The self is context, and we have the thinking mind. The self is content. Now, what gets us into trouble is buying into the thinking mind. We know we have about 8,000 thoughts a day. We know the little monkeys in our shoulder, and we know that there's the confidence gap and the I'm not good enough story, and we buy into this conditioned or this egoic mind, and we give meaning to it. And so when we fuse to these thoughts, we become them. Now, look, this is not rocket science, everybody. We know that humans have the ability of metacognition, and metacognition is just simply being able to think about our thoughts. So we have the observing mind that can watch over our thinking mind, and this is what I've been trying to talk about in terms of our mindset. So we have to just observe and watch, and the I watches the me. Now, you know, from an analogy point of view, think of the eye as the blue sky, and think of the thinking mind as the rain and the wind and the weather. And the rain and the wind and the weather, they come and they go. Look, our thoughts, they come and they go, and they come and they go, and they pass. And our unhelpful thoughts pass. But if we fuse them, we will become them, and we will be held back absolutely forever. Look, I don't know why we missed this. It was some years ago when I had this explained to me. Of course, the big question is, who's the observer? Who's the watcher? And that's another discussion. But that's, you know, we all have this ability. And so what I'm saying here, guys, be aware, self-observe, awareness, awareness, awareness. Watch what's happening in you and watch what's going on, and don't buy into it, because those thoughts are just thoughts. Anyway, enough there. So there are a few other reasons why we fail with our goals, not knowing our why, as I said, but not only that, we don't really know our why and our where, our how and our what. So, you know, the big questions is, you know, why am I here? What's the purpose of my business? Where is my headed? How am I going to get there? And what are my values? These are what I call the deep structures to our life, and the deep structures to our business, and the deep structures in our career. And if we don't know our why, our where, our how, and our what, we're really never going to get off those nails, and we're never going to find goals that are going to help us move ahead in alignment with those. The other thing is, sometimes our goals are just not important enough. And our goals sometimes also are too materialistic and not emotional enough. Now, we all know that we sell on emotion. How are we ever going to sell goals to ourselves if we don't surround them with emotion? And we hit barriers and distractions and give up on them, and we spiral downwards, and we use treats which often become addictive. And so, you know, it's why quite often people become alcoholics or chocoholics or shopaholics and so on, or workaholics, because we go into this me time to avoid what we really need to be doing. And we fail to develop an action plan and build in accountability. And we also have this false buy into, I'll be happy when, and I talked about that before, I'll be happy when I've got my new job, or, you know, I'll be happy when I get my website, and I'll be happy when I've got my social media all sorted out, or we're happy when I get married, whatever it is. But we miss the step that recognizes that you can be happy right now, and you can be happy finding your goal. You can be happy as you're moving towards a new home, as you're moving towards a new career. You can be happy right now as you are going to go your exercise plan and your diet, or get the new house, or write that book. So you don't need to wait for those in order for you to be happy and have peace of mind. So you need to find the emotion associated with your goal and bring that emotion into play or into existence now. This is the reversal or the opposite of the normal process. And we start procrastinating because we've lost the conviction that our goal is worth the effort. Now, all of this is to do with mood, and I just whipped this off the website here. Sorry, not in the mood, babe. You know, start in the bottom left there. I'll wait until I feel more like doing it. Just not right in the mood yet. Nah, still not right in the right mood. And this is what happens. And we wait till we get in the right mood to do something, and then it's the last minute. Then we panic and rush, and then say, "Oh no, still not in the mood." So finding the right mood for a procrastinator is impossible. But that's where we have to go to. I picked this procrastination cycle up from Paul Blackburn. In fact, I went on to his webinar on New Year's Day, and it's not often people will run a webinar on New Year's Day. And, you know, I booked in and got some really great stuff. In fact, one of the nails I was sitting on, as I mentioned, was to be able to do a webinar, and I really wanted to do one for years. And I made excuses, and I sat in that nail, and I gave every excuse under the sun why it wouldn't work. Anyway, thanks to me hopping on a webinar back on New Year's Day, I'm here now, guys, and you're experiencing this first webinar, which I hope you're finding is useful. Anyway, I'm excited about this, and I want to explain this cycle. It's very, very similar. We all know it's not actually rocket science here. It's not new, but we all wait until we want to feel inspired, and then I'll wait till I feel like it. Now isn't the right time, but I'm wasting time doing nothing, and time is running out. but I'm in the wrong mood. So we're trapped in this cycle. We're stuck on this nail. We whimper and whine. We're not getting the things done that we really want to do. And so we can't move forward in our chosen direction and our goals. So mood is an emotion that persists unless you take action. And here's what I just want to ask you right now. What has procrastination cost you? Was it cost you in lost deals, in promotions, in trade, in relationships that are founded? What's procrastination cost you in health and fitness, and with issues like that, and happiness, and with self-esteem? You know, and we've gone down into our own estimation because we haven't done what we wanted to do. So I think procrastination is a huge thing, and it costs us a lot in our life. And tonight I'm extolling you to really have a look at what's going on and look at those nails that are stopping you from moving forward in your life, and encouraging you to dare to face your object of fear. So procrastination is two things. First of all, it's not starting. We know that. There's nothing new there. So we don't start because of avoidance. We try and avoid all of those uncomfortable feelings or that fear of failure. And the two biggest things that hold us back in life is attachment or fusion to those unhelpful thinking patterns, and avoidance. And also, that's the me time. Now, let me explain. The me time is, you know, in the face of the overwhelm and attachment and avoidance, we give up and we think, oh, well, I'll have some time for me. I'll go and do something else. And quite often people take a drink because they feel really rotten because they haven't moved ahead with what they really wanted to do, become perhaps a chocoholic or a workaholic or a shopaholic. And, you know, the frustration we experience is that neither of them actually delivers a result that we really want. And we trade small failures with big failures long term. Is that true? You understand that? So here's what's happening. This is the negative thing about moods. And we try and alter the mood. Notice the thumbs down here. And so we go to substances or activities, you know, in the avoidance. We get stuck in this avoidance trap. And as I said before, you know, it's the alcohol and the chocolate, and could be food of any sort. We get sidetracked in work and we bury our heads and get busy, and we find anything to do but other than the things that we really, really want to do. So these are the substances and activities that really help us to avoid the things that we want to do. And these negative substances and activities suck all the energy out of us. And guess what? We feel even worse. And, you know, we all know that, you know, I reckon procrastination causes so much depression because people are not moving ahead with their life. And if they can just start to observe and watch and get that observing mind, watching the thinking mind, it will make a huge difference. Now, here's the positive things that we can do. Still the mood. We're still going to feel like we want to procrastinate. And here are some positive things, some positive substances and activities, and that can help us move forward. Now, none of these are new to you. Healthy diet, exercise, meditation, mindfulness. Now, I've been talking about mindfulness a lot tonight. Being aware, just watching, knowing what's going on, self-observation will win over self-absorption every time. And the big one, of course, is to take action. So here are the 5 big things, the 5 things that are really going to help us move on. Now, the exercise one, wow. Well, I was given a watch for Christmas, and you know, it counts all your steps, and here it is, here, guys, and it's really great because I'm doing my 9 to 10,000 every day, and I'm feeling really fit and great, and I've lost about 4 kilos since January, beginning of January. Meditation, we've got to be still. You know, we're so busy, we need to take time out. I'm not sure how you meditate, or if you do meditate. I've let that part of my life go, I know, and I've got to bring that back. But be still, know, you know, that there's something out there bigger than us, and the mindfulness is absolutely crucial, healthy diets and taking action. So let's move on now. The major shift around procrastination is standing up. So when you're procrastinating, you're usually sitting down. Now, I know you say, well, I'm really busy when I'm at my computer. But it's interesting that standing up somehow gets us moving. So here's the motivation cycle. Because at the beginning I said, what I want to do is help you turn procrastination into motivation and action. And when we take action, we are motivated. And when we're motivated, we do more action. So action promotes motivation. Motivation creates motivation, more action. So, my little steps a day, it tells me how many steps I've done. I'm looking at it, half a dozen times a day. Oh yeah, I've got another, I've done, 3,000, I've got another 7,000 to do, and it creates more action and it keeps me moving forward. And that's what we've got to do with our different goals in our lives. Now, research tells us that 7% of internet time is procrastination based. Well, that's pretty scary, isn't it? I just think that's pretty true too. So we must learn to disconnect and devote time to focus on the goals we want to achieve, taking meaningful and clear action. Not any old action, but it's got to be meaningful and very clear. Now, there's some further secrets to how we can set and achieve your goals. Now, look, some of you know that I've been, and some of you have been teaching SMART goals for a number of years, and SMART goals are great and they're okay, but I think they're only half smart because they're very left brain orientated and they have no emotion around them whatsoever. So I just want to now explore some of the really success action steps you can take to move you forward. I've always already talked about align with your values and your purpose and your why. And the thing is, you've got to make sure that your goals address values conflict. It might be all very well to have a goal that, you want to double your income in the next 12 months, but if you've got values of, developing close family relationships and, you're going to be 24/7 at work, there's going to be a conflict there. So you've got to consider the consequences, both positive and negative, around the goals that you set. Now, really important, and I'll show you how we do this a bit later, to utilize the strengths and weaknesses, because if we're going to set goals which really attract a lot of weaknesses, well, we're going to spend all of our time trying to work in our area of weakness and we're not going to use our strengths. We must have milestones, and little stepping stones along the way. I don't know how many milestones there were from putting a man on the moon. I think I read somewhere there's a couple of million, and all these little steps along the way. So unless we've got goals where we can have milestones and actually tick them off, then we're not going to achieve them. We're just going to give up. We've got to address these mindset issues and limiting beliefs that block you, and I've talked about those. And our goals need to be nurtured and driven by emotion, and we need to include accountability. And sometimes to achieve our goals, we've got to have more education. I tell you, there was a lot of education going into finding out all about webinars and all the platforms. And so I had to actually learn a lot to do this with the help of, and I needed some guidance and help, and I had a mentor to help me. And all of this is to foster habit formation. This is starting from the goal already been accomplished. Of course, it's the date, and I am, and I feel. And this is a very simple example. Of course, it's July 2017, and I'm 85 kilograms. I'm on purpose. I'm thankful. I'm full of energy and enthusiastic about my life and my goals. Now, I haven't set goals like this before. Always, by the 15th of July 2017, I will have lost 8 kilos and be 85 kilograms, full stop. But it's got to have emotion around it. And here's another goal that I've set for myself for this year. It's the 15th of August 2017, and I have published my first book, Change Your Thinking, Transform Your Life, and Propel Your Business. I'm energized by its completion and relieved and full of anticipation about its impact on others and my business. So you can see the formula is changed to the SMART. It's working from having accomplished it and working backwards. Now, successful goals are achieved through good habits. And so what I've done here tonight, I want to share with you, we're not going to achieve goals unless you believe, unless you can build good habits. So first of all, your goal has to be a meaningful goal that has to have significance and be in line with your purpose and your values. You've got to attach emotion around your goals, and you've got to build in accountability. You have to internalize beliefs and behaviors and get that mindset right. And you have to have trained with timelines. So there's the HABIT, and I'll explore each of these in more detail with you. Here's the H, have a meaningful goal. And so here's some key questions, and I've answered all of these questions for myself for the 3 goals I've set for myself for the next 3 months. Now, how does this complement my values? How does this goal conflict with my values? Now, that was an interesting question to answer. Why is this goal meaningful and important for me? What are some other goals? What other goals will be affected by reaching this one? The plus and the minus. What other goals are affected by missing this one? Now, here's some other things, other goals, what happens, what other goals are affected by reaching this one, and what other goals are affected by missing this one? And also, what strengths are brought to bear and what weaknesses are brought to bear. So there's the H in having a meaningful goal. There's quite a few things, but when I wrote my answers to all of these questions, suddenly this goal took on a whole new level of meaning and importance to me. And I'm thinking, wow, I really want to do this. And I could see that I was starting to understand the significance of this goal. The A is to attach emotion. I've spoken about that already. So what emotion am I trying to create by reaching this goal? Look, if you don't have an emotion around the goal, it's dead in the water. SMART goals are all left brain, no right brain, no emotion around it at all. And what emotion am I trying to prevent by reaching this goal? And it's really, really important. The B in habits is a really big one, and this one is not new. We know it's been around forever, but if you want to achieve a goal, you've got to build in accountability. Who will you be accountable to? You've got to have accountability buddy or 1 or 2 people that you can actually really go the journey with you. And so you have to find out and know who will that be and how will they help me. It's no point having somebody but not knowing exactly how you're going to be helped by them. The I, this is internalized beliefs and behaviors. So, what beliefs do I need to change? Because we know right from the beginning the procrastination is holding things back. And if you don't actually articulate those, you won't be able to move forward. Why do I need to change my beliefs? Who will help me with that? And what do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing? And what are the mindset issues that need addressing? And what is my internalized mantra? Well, look, I sat down for an hour and I wrote answers to all of these questions, and I got this habit absolutely down, and I keep looking at it all the time, and it's made a huge difference. And I hope you can hear in my voice because it's been a big learning curve for me. Now, the T in habit is to train with timelines. So what do I need to focus on doing? So they are the things that you need to write down, and what are my milestones and timelines? So if we have just a summary here, this is what, rather than just set SMART goals, I'm suggesting, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to have your goal that it's meaningful, in line with your purpose and your values, has significance, will take you to where you want to really be in your life, will help you be the person you want to be and where you want to go. You must need to attach emotion around it, build in accountability, internalize beliefs and behaviors, start being mindful, start self-observing. Watch, be aware of what's going on. Don't fuse to those unhelpful thinking patterns. Have a mantra that you can say to yourself all the time. Every time an unhelpful belief comes into your mind, just watch it pass, let it go. It'll come back. You can't stop them. So we have to internalize these beliefs and behaviors and train regularly with timelines and milestones. Now let's move forward onto very quickly topics 2, the do's and don'ts. Now I really didn't want to concentrate on a lot of the don'ts because we've covered off on them already. the big thing is don't set too many goals. Fewer goals are better, less is more. 3 to 5 will work much better than more goals. And don't have unrealistic expectations. You know, what happens is we miss, we fail, we spiral down into procrastination, and then we go into the cycle of anxiety, depression, and then we go to the avoidance, and we avoid through alcohol and be a shopaholic or alcoholic or chocoholic or workaholic, what have you. So it's really, really important. Don't set goals that can't be broken down into milestones, and don't set goals which are in conflict with your purpose and values, because you need to eliminate that values conflict. And don't set goals that will detract from your character. You know, sometimes we see what other people are doing and see what other people are achieving, and we think, oh, gee, I'd like to be able to achieve and do what they do. But if it's not in alignment with you, who you are, so don't sacrifice your goals and your character, for goals which may not be true to you. So you have to be true to yourself. And don't wait until you are in the right mood, because that will take you into the procrastination cycle. Now, the do's, of course, are the important ones. Set goals as taught from this tonight. You know, if you've been used to SMART goals, we'll start looking at goals which will build those habits and really start to work around those goals and answer those questions which I've just shown you. And I think the way the world's changing, you know, we set these long-term goals, but I'm more convinced that if we can get a 90 to a 180-day plan, 3 to 6 months goals, okay, we know we've got a vision of where we're headed. But 3 goals for the next 3 to 6 months, I think will be a lot more helpful, and especially when they align with your purpose and your values. A lot of people say, Edward, you know, I've got these goals, I'm not too sure which ones are the most important. Of course, we have to prioritize these goals, and you know that I've got tools for that, and I've spent so many years helping people with these prioritizing tools. So that's so important, and start with the one that's going to take you, that's going to have the most impact to where you want to go. Make sure that the goals include the nails you've been sitting on. There's no point just turning your back on those nails that you've articulated and you know that you're sitting on. So your goals must be in those areas too. And apply the habit formula and the questions that I've been outlining tonight. I know it's really, really hard work, but it's the key. And you've got to break your goals down to maximum number of steps and set up mileposts and guidelines. Now, there's been some repetition here, I know, but I don't think that's a problem because it's really important. And do have an accountability buddy and make a public declaration. Now, that's pretty scary. Making a public declaration to 3 to 5 people, do you think that'll help you in your accountability as well as having accountability? That's scary and it's big time, but I'll tell you what, you don't have to tell the world, but pick 3 to 5 people and say, guys, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. I'm excited about it. There's a whole lot of emotion around this, and it's absolutely crucial and important to my life. And join a group that's going somewhere. And it's hard on your own. Sometimes, you know, we're flat out in our work and we're just sitting there on our own, but we've got to enjoy and join up with like-minded people, and we'll get on that train with them. Now, the third topics that I was going to cover tonight are 3 key strategies to ensure you execute your plan for 2017. Well, the first one, of course, we've been talking about, but you must have a map. We know that the map is a plan, and we've got to have a clear growth strategy and our strategic goals. I don't understand why business owners don't have this, and even some of us as consultants, you know, we just go about and we teach this well, but we don't do it that well for ourselves. Can you imagine building a house without a plan? You know, it's just not going to happen. And can you imagine, ladies, if you're going to have a wedding and there's no actual plan and no strategy? It'd be a disaster. We have all our run sheets and steps in place. Even going on a overseas holiday, we plan it out. And yet, when it comes to our business and comes to the year, you know, say, oh yeah, we've got a few good goals we're going to set for this year. Our New Year's resolutions are absolutely toast by the end of January. So we need to have a clear map and a clear growth strategy to move forward in our life or in our career or in our business. Now, the mindset one I've been talking about a lot tonight, but you've got to think ink your business. I know we're the owners of our own businesses, but you've got to be like the CEO of your own business. You've got to take massive responsibility. You know, there's the word ownership, accountability, and responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes and behaviors. You know, quite often we like the dog in the nail. We moan and groan and, like the word like bed, we're in bed and we blame others, we make excuses, we're in denial. This is not what I really wanted. Oh, I didn't want that goal anyway. Oh, it doesn't really matter. And so, we need to get a mindset where we've got to take really massive responsibility for our business and for our actions and our thoughts and our feelings. And we've got to seek to add value in everything we do, and we've got to adopt a sales and marketing mindset. And I think having that mindset and that really positive mindset, I'm not just talking about positive motivation here, but certainly be aware, self-observe, watch what's going on. Don't fuse those unhelpful thinking patterns. And the other one, keeping the alliteration, the map, the mindset, and the mentor, someone to ensure you execute your plan. And I'm going to talk about this a bit more because I think this is crucial. And a mentor or coach or buddy will help you and develop your key goals and your strategies and help you set and achieve your goals and milestones, ensure you stay continuously on track, because we can get sidetracked. We can start off so positively and, within a few weeks we lose heart because we're not reaching our milestones. Someone who can act as a sounding board and bounce ideas off, and a personal accountability partner to ensure you achieve your targets, and someone who's going to ask you the tough questions, not going to tell you what to do, but ask you the tough questions. And, a mentor is like a trusted strategic advisor, and he's like a cheerleader, encourager, and someone to walk alongside you and provide you with clarity and motivation and focused action. So I think really, really is important that you have your map, you have your correct mindset, and you have your mentor to help you.